four major pramanas: pratyaksham, anumanam, upamanam and shabda. Okay. Now these definitions in Vedanta will be slightly different, okay? Will not be the same. Therefore, don't take it as absolute truth and stick to that. Okay? In fact, a lot of this I will be negating when I am teaching Vedanta Paribhasha. But it's good to have an idea and know what it's about. Okay? Yeah. So, pratyaksham. Naturally, indriya sannikarsha jnanam pratyaksham. That's very simple and clear form. Okay? Now, in this, he will also say samyoga, then samyukta samavaya sambandha, all that thing. Basically, what is he trying to say? That the sense organ and the object has to come in contact in some way or the other. There has to be some connection between your sense organ and the object of knowledge. What that connection, he can go on saying 100 different ways of doing it. Okay? 100 different ways of doing, he can say it. That's why he talks about all those, sixfold operations. Samyoga, samyukta samavaya, samyukta samaveta samavaya. What is all this meant for? It is only looking at how the connection is taking place according to the paradigm of Tarka. And revising the third chapter, fourth chapter, sorry. So, it is just a question of looking at how these connections are taking place according to their model, their paradigm. Science will use a different paradigm. The light has to be reflected, etc. All of them have some validity. How is the connection taking place? Through light, simple. Because without light you can't see anyway. But that's not true for touch, etc. So, light is only for one perception in terms of sight, not in terms of touch. Yeah. So, don't bother too much about that. Of the different types of relationships, exactly. Samyukta samavaya sambandha, all that thing. Okay? Samaveta sambandha. All this is only to show how the connection is taking place. But basic thing is indriya sannikarsha. Indriya sannikarsha. Yeah. Indriya sannikarsha, sound. So there are some variations in how you will explain that. That's all that is there. But indriya sannikarsha jnanam pratyaksham is unavoidable. Even if that much you remember, it's fine. Then he goes to the second one, anumanam, inference. Therefore, for anumati karanam, anumanam. That which will give you inferential knowledge is called anumanam. Paramarsha janya jnanam anumanam. That is born of linga paramarshaha. Therefore, the vyapti, gives you the knowledge. Like, if you have to infer the famous example, vyaktik janna jnanam, if you are talking about the mountain having fire. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vannihi. That's the basic vyapti. Therefore, analyzing the vyapti is what is called paramarsha. Based on the linga, what you are seeing, smoke. Smoke is a linga. Therefore, linga paramarsha jnanam, which includes the vyapti in it, that wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That gives you anumitik jnanam. Then, of course, we saw what is vyapti. That invariably one is present, the other is present. Smoke is present, fire has to be there. You can't have smoke and no fire. Okay. So that is for that much. Okay, vyapti. Then paksha dharmata, all that we've seen. Okay? And he says, he divides inference into twofold, which is not really a big difference. Okay? It's not really a big difference. It's only about how you are taking that inference. Whether there is, how you are explaining that influence to someone else. Says for yourself 3 steps are enough. When you are explaining, you may not need a step also. No? Or you may more steps won't be necessary. 5 mein aa jayega. Yeah. Smoke on the mountain. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. This mountain has smoke. Suppose the mountain has fire. Yeah, you don't have to elaborate it more than that. Okay? There is a car outside. Right? I'm hearing a sound. This sound is of a car engine. The sound of the car engine cannot be there if there is no car. Anukula Tarka. Even that will come under the file. Even that will come under the file. Your Brahman is not inferential knowledge, that is Shabda Jnana. It's not inference. Yeah. This is only for inference. Yeah. Your Brahman, there is only one step. Yeah, Brahman. It takes some time. It takes some time because we have to do a lot of negation. Yeah, the time taken is because negation is a lot of negation to be done. Because negation has to be done, it takes time. Otherwise, it need not take time. It's something like this, to digress a bit. We are walking and you see a snake. You are scared of snakes. See, if a person is not scared of snakes, and says, hey, isn't there a snake there? I'll say, no, here it's a rope here. Problem solved. I put the torch on, problem solved immediate. Now, supposing he is scared of snakes and is worried and anxious, oh my God, what will happen? Then do you think the torch will work? Where did the snake go? So then there will have to be a lot of argument and discussion until his mind settles down enough to say, hey, it is this one. So it depends upon the conditionings here. It depends upon the conditionings you are carrying inside your mind. That's why it takes time. Otherwise it need not take time. Why should it take time? Yeah. But we can't help the conditionings. Conditions are not like intellectual conclusions, they are also experiential conclusions. Okay? Then the hurt, pain, guilt we have gone through, that we have gathered, the baggage we have gathered, fear that we have gathered. Yeah. Yeah. Because people live in fear, just because of some small illness or something. Yeah. Just because there is a small problem. Yeah. Satish bhai, if you don't mind me using you as an example. Last time also I used, remember? Yeah. Last time also I used you as an example, some class before. Look at Satish bhai. He had a massive heart attack. People who have had that massive heart attack would go, whatever the doctor said, have a bypass surgery, sit at home only, don't go about too much this thing. He reversed the whole thing by himself. Dean Ornish program, one of his, he knew a doctor who was doing, Dr. Dean Ornish is reversing heart disease program. He did the whole thing, he didn't go for bypass, nothing. Nor is he sitting at home doing nothing. You did a lot, I know. That's the humility that he's saying. He's not sitting at home scared. During your Sadi Sadi, you went through a lot of issues. Yeah. But he's not sitting at home scared. But people do. Yeah, people do. Yeah. That is their problem, not his problem. I know his wife and kids, they are not scared. Yeah. They are also not scared about things. So live in courage. People don't live in courage, that's the problem. People live in fear all the time. I agree, a lot of things can go wrong in life. I'm not saying no to that. But how are you living? I agree, take care, follow the doctor's advice, this, that, etc. But why are you living scared? Yeah. Live in courage, no? I can understand some insecurity or fear can be there. I'm not denying that. It's human. But live in courage. Live in courage. That is the biggest thing. If that is not done, nothing will work. That living in courage becomes important. Anyway, that apart. Huh? That explaining that thing. Yeah, he mentions it there, very simple. Influence for others, that is, isn't it? Yeah. See, he puts it here. Pratigna. This fire has mountain. This mountain has fire. Then hetu, reason for it. What is the reason? Dhumatvat, because there is smoke. Then upanayana, how you are resolving it. Wherever there is, you have to bring in the linga, the paramarsha there, vyapti there. Wherever there is smoke, there has to be fire. Is upanaya here? Yeah. Yeah. Example. Because for the sake of having the vyapti, you have to have seen it somewhere, no? The connection. Therefore, he is bringing it as an example. The example given to bring in the vyapti. Okay? Yeah. The example given to bring in the vyapti. Yeah. That's why he says, then Tathacha ayamiti upanaya. Upanaya there he makes it as conclusion. Therefore, this mountain has fire. Meaning, upanayana is what? You are given an udaharan, an example. And you are correlating that example with this case. Wherever, first the vyapti is what? Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Then udaharam yatha mahanasa, the kitchen, wood stove kitchen. Then upanaya is, see, here also is the same, no? There is smoke. That correlation between the example and what is said, that he is talking about upanaya. Then niganam is the conclusion. That is it. Okay. Yeah. Therefore, the karanam he picks up there. Linga paramarsha, remembering of the linga, because without linga there is no without a linga, you cannot know anything. Without seeing the smoke, how can you infer anything? And the paramarsha also has to be there. That wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Yeah. So the linga that is here and the paramarsha that is there in your mind. The connection between smoke and fire. In the example. Okay. Then of course linga, anvayi, anvaya vyatireka, kevala anvayi, kevala, all that we see. But in Vedanta we only expect anvaya, okay? We don't take vyatireki. Anvaya, when this is there, this is there. Smoke is there, fire is there, anvaya. Smoke is not there, therefore fire is also not there. That they give us vyatireka. And the example is a lake or something like that. Kevala vyatireka example. But this is not like that. This there is no. Therefore, it's twisted. Anvaya Vyatireka argument we use only to look at reality. What is independent, what is dependent. In Vedanta, we use Anvaya Vyatireka only to see what is independent, what is dependent. We don't use it only for Anumanam. We will use it more for independence and mistake. Because for Anumanam in Vedanta, it's only Anvaya. This is there, or kya hai? What are you saying? Absence of this means absence of that, etc. All that is convoluted. Can you say if there is no smoke, there is no fire also? Can have a smokeless fire, exactly. Therefore, Kevala Vyatireki doesn't work. Therefore, that type of things are there in that, okay? Then what has to be proved is a paksha. Sapaksha is the example where it is already proved. Already proved. Vipaksha is the opposite example, where what is to be proved is not there. Then he saw about defective reasoning. Hetu avabhasaha. It looks like a hetu. So this they have, what you call, what is it? This hetu doesn't work. Basically what is it? The reason that you are given is not correct. Now why is it not correct? They go into a fivefold analysis. Fivefold analysis there. Okay. Savya vichara. Savya vichara is what? Basically, you are strayed away from the topic. That's all. Okay. Deviating. Yeah, paksha and paksha dharma. Yeah. Up to a point. Yeah. Up to a point. Because see, this is, okay, the difference between Vedanta logic and this logic is, a lot of this logic is accepted. But in some cases, when you go into more fuzzy logic, independent, dependent, that type of Satya Mithya logic, then this won't work. In Satya Mithya, this won't work. Other things, all this will work. This will work, yeah. About apara, this can be acceptable. Yeah. Apara vidya, all this can be acceptable. So the most common vyabhichara hetu is giving you are giving a reason. Like he gave the example, na? Parvato Vanyavan, Prameyatva. Agreed. Prameyatva meaning it can be known. Agreed, mountain can be known. But nobility is there in fire also. Correct? It's there in smoke also. Correct? Nobility is there in everything that you know. That doesn't prove anything. So it's called, even though it is true, yeah, Parvataha Praveyam. It's an object of your knowledge. But that doesn't prove there is fire. So it's called Vyabhichara. You're given a reason, but the reason is not connected with what you have to prove. This is common. Common means you are deviated from the topic. That's all. There is what is uncommon. Uncommon is when you are giving a reason for which there is no example. Okay? Shabdaha nityaha shabdatvat. But there is no, have you proved Shabda is Nitya by anything? Shabdatvam is not, because the soundness is not the reason to prove it is eternal. No? The question is sound is eternal or not is the question. So how can you say because it is sound it is eternal? What type of logic is that? You are eternal. Why? Because you are you. Huh? Are you getting the idea? These are all faulty reasoning. Or you have included everything into the paksha. Sarvam anityam drishyatvat. Yatha what? Vedantis make this mistake. Sarvam anityam drishyatvat. Yatha, do you have an example? You don't have an example because everything has been included in the paksha. Look at it. Pustakaha anityaha yatha gataha. Like how pot is anitya, this also. Okay. If you say sarvam, then where is the example? Pot is included in sarvam. Huh? Huh? But you have to give Vyavahara Yoga then those things will come. Therefore, you cannot say really, even in Vedanta, Sarvam Anityam logically. You will have to put it differently. The structure will have to be different. Yad Drishyam Tad Anityam. Then you will have to make a Vyapti. Yatha Gataha Yad Drishyam Tad Anityam Yatha Pustakam. Then you will have to say Yatra Drishyatvam Tatra Anityatvam. You have to start with one. Yad Drishyam Pustakam Drishyam Tad Anityam Yatha Gataha. Then from there you bring a Vyapti. Yatra Drishyatvam Tatra Anityatvam. Yad Yad Drishyam Tat Anityam. Now it will be, it's correct logically. If you say Sarvam Anityam Drishyatvat, it is not logically correct because you don't have a this thing. Example to prove it.
The minute you put it like this, then you are looking only at apara knowledge, right?
Yeah.
As far as recording is.
Exactly. And then you can say Swapna api Drishyatvat Anityam. Can you see how you have to present Vedanta logically? You can't present it illogically, but many people do because their logic is not tight.
The biggest challenge is spotting the flaw.
Yeah, it's spotting the flaw. Therefore, a Tarkika will throw you out in a debate. He'll say, hey, where is the is? Yeah, it's a Vyabhichara. He'll say it's a Vyabhichara. You don't have a example for that. Then there is Viruddha Hetu. You are contradicting yourself. Viruddha meaning you are giving a reason which is actually used to prove the opposite. Yeah, used to prove the opposite. Yeah. Shabda Nityaha. Why? Kritakatvat. It has been produced. Whatever is produced is Anitya. You are giving a contrary reason. Sat Pratipaksha Hetu. That is when two arguments are equally valid, they cancel each other out. You have to go for third arguments now to support. Okay. Okay. Taking the same example, he gives, Shabdaha Nitya, because I am hearing it. Okay. Then the Sat Pratipaksha will be sound is Anitya because Kritakritvat Yatha Gataha.
But this I not understanding because in Tarka they already assume
Yeah.
that there the 9 dravyas
Yeah. Sapta Padartha, Navadravya.
but in that they assume that then they are
Yeah. That is you are creating a database. Because any logic involves a database, no? Without database, there is no logic. So they created a database like that. That's how they went about it. Based on pure observation, pratiksha. Database is created by pratiksha only, no? Database has to be created by pratiksha. So that's how they created it. And then they went on certain inferential assumptions about things. Every paradigm does it. Except perception, where you're seeing what you're seeing. But then interpretation and perception goes haywire. So when you really question how we know what we know, you find every logic, every knowledge is on shaky grounds. Every knowledge is on shaky grounds, but they are functionally valid. It is like, remember Archie Comics? In Archie Comics, Betty is giving a talk on environment and says that bottle of Coke, that can of Coke there is environmentally unfriendly. It can last for years and years like that. Jagged walks by. He takes the Coke, drinks it up. Oh, I had not accounted for Jagged. So there's something that always happen like that. Okay. Every knowledge is on shaky ground, but there is functionally they can work. Yeah. Therefore, Sat Pratipaksha is just two arguments clashing head on. So one cancels out the other. You have to go for now third reasons for this. Then Asiddham. Again, Asiddham is you have not established it. Either because the reason you are given is not there in the Paksha, or the reason that you are given is secondary to the thing, or the reason that you are giving is contradicted by Pratyaksha or something else. Okay? It's called Asiddham, not established. Okay? So your three basic conditions of logic not working. Now this becomes very important in a debate or a discussion. And remember, it is the language of debate and discussions that made Vedanta scholarly. See, Vedanta as a pramana is simple and straightforward. Upanishad pramana, simple, straightforward, it will work. Then because there are other contradictions, etc., experiential things, other logical systems, questioning of the Upanishad, you had the Brahma Sutra, the analysis. So you study the Gita, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, Pramanam is complete. Okay? Simple, straightforward, you know the truth for yourself, you can even become a teacher and explain. If you have mastered these three. If these three things you have mastered, one or two Prakarana Granthas here and there so that you understand the nuances a bit better. Like in the camp we did Advaita Makaranda. By the way, Advaita Makaranda is put up on my YouTube, okay? Anyone who wants to listen to it can see the whole thing. Yeah, it is all there. The whole thing is there. Okay? So, simple, straightforward. And some text like that. So, nuances are clear. Okay, Akka? That's why that is the base that is taught in the 3-year course. Some Prakarana Granthas, Gita, some Upanishads and Brahma Sutras. Was okay. But the literature in Vedanta developed because of discussion and debate. Because questions can come up. Today what is necessary, actually speaking, if anyone is writing a book, I don't know whether I'll ever write, I'm not a writer. I don't see myself as a writer. If the day I see myself as a writer, I'll write. But I have not yet seen that. How can I see that? I'm Satyam Jnanamanandam Brahman, not a writer. Next step is teacher. Okay, fine, teacher. But if I see myself as a writer, sometimes I'll write. Is to bring the Purva Pakshas from science into Vedanta and answer that. Because that's how by debate and discussion the literature in Vedanta grows. So there are two aspects to it. One, direct knowing the truth. and one the scholarly aspect. For someone who wants to study in depth, a little bit into the scholarly aspect is good. Why? It brings you arguments against Vedanta that you may not have thought about, so that your clarity of knowledge will be better. Today, more and more necessary, because today all of us are thinkers. In all our jobs, whichever job you are doing, you need to be a thinker. Much more than previous times. Therefore, if you are a thinker, you need to refine that thinking and understand Vedanta in that sense. That's why I am going into all this. Otherwise, I would not have bothered. Why should I bother? But I did that 20 years back also, isn't it? When I first started Tarka and all, 20 years? 20 years ho gaya rahega. Okay, so the language of debate and discussion is the language of Tarka. Then Upamana is very simple. He dismisses it in one paragraph only. Okay? It's very simple. Upamitik Jnanam. Here, there is not much difference between what Vedanta says and they say. Simple, comparative knowledge. Based on one thing that you know, you can extrapolate something else. It's a question of extrapolating it. See a bison. When you go to stage, have a look at the bison. Once upon a time, there thousands of them roamed all over the western plains. Then the white man went on killing it indiscriminately. So now they are only available in reservations, in reserved forests. What is a bison like? It's something like a water buffalo. You know the water buffalo. But it's not exactly the same as water buffalo. Then you wouldn't be calling it bison, you will be calling it water buffalo. Yeah. But that comparative knowledge, when you go and see that, you'll say, yes, this is what he is talking about. Yeah. The Upamanam. Yeah. Gavaya is that. Gavaya is. Have you seen that movie Bahubali? Arey, dekhne ka aisa, the worldly knowledge should be there. That the bull that is used there, that wild bull, that's found only in the forest. It's a forest animal. That's called a Gavaya. Water buffalo, etc. are tamed animals. They are tame. Okay. They are bred. They are bred. So they are available for us. The wild variety, the wild bull in the forest is called a Gavaya. Wild bull. They are more massive, more powerful than the water buffalo. Yeah. Visually also huge. They are large. Almost double the size. Double the size. Yeah. And very powerful. Very powerful. Even a lion is scared of them. Yeah. So, they are there in the forest, you will still find it. Yeah, interior you will find them. Okay. Then we come to Shabda. Up to here clear? Upamana and this is clear, right? Not a. Yeah, there are some. See, I have not gone too much into details. I want you all to remember Vyabhichara, this not necessarily subcategories. You know, Asiddha Hetu, Viruddha Hetu, that's enough. Vyabhichara, enough. You don't have to go into fine details. If this much is there and you can recognize as an argument, what is important? Can you recognize the problems in an argument? When you are making a discussion or making a statement, yeah, can you recognize that? That this reason is defective. That's enough. And if you can point out, it is defective because this, it doesn't fulfill. Good enough. It contradicts itself. It is straying, it is not coming anywhere near what you have to prove. Yeah. If that much is there, enough. All the fine details are if you are going to get into a debate. So that we will see. At that time we will develop it. Sometimes we need to get into this whole idea of debate, discussion, etc. how, I don't know, maybe some camp we'll have to do it. At some camp only we can do this debate and discussion. Where else can we do it? Because, or we'll have to take a place, whole day be there and do that. That also we can think of, one full day being somewhere. And that can be put, at least the people on net can be observers. Okay, yeah. May not be able to be participants, but okay. Then we come to the, no, okay. Now if you look at the whole thing, the most important pramana for the Tarkika is Anumanam. That's why even something that they perceive, they will give some Anukula Tarka. There's the whole idea of Anukula Tarka in Tarka also. What is that? Supportive arguments. This is a phone. Correct? You can recognize it, perception. Yeah, it's correct. It's a phone because I heard it ringing some time back. Anukula Tarka. Is it necessary? But Tarkikas feel the need for it because their commitment is totally to Anumanam. So much so that's why look at if you look at perception, how they divided it, and look at Anumanam, how they divide it. See, perception is the most important of the 5 pramana, of the 6 pramana for Vyavahara. Because without perceptual data, there is nothing else available. You can't make an inference, you can't do anything. But if you look at it, they have spent so much of time on not only explaining what inference is, but categorizing even the errors of inference. Not broad categories. So broad categories they could have gone into just, what is that? Hetu abhasa, and just said that na savya vichari viruddha sat pratipaksha na siddha. More bhaditam. That is it. Ho gaya kaam na. But in each they want 2, 3 points in each of them. Why? That shows, this is how you look at a text also. That shows how much of abhyasa is there, no? Repetition is there. That shows the importance of that. Remember Shadlinga Vichara, don't forget that. How you start, how you end, Upakrama, Upasamhara, Upamana, examples are given, logic is used. Abhyasa, repetition. If something important, you will repeat it. For them, this is very important. Therefore, they kept repeating it from different angles. So much of importance is given. So much so that other philosophers will talk about them as Anumana Eka Chakshu. You only have one eye, that's the inference, nothing else. Then you come to Shabda. And in Vedanta, we will take Shabda as what? What do you take Shabda in Vedanta? Yeah, but what? How would you define Shabda? Huh? That is the knowledge that comes. But what is Shabda in Vedanta? The Veda. Shabda is a Veda. And when Vedanta use the word Shabda, it is a Veda. Vedanta, because Vedanta is part of Veda. Therefore, Veda is a Pramanam. Vedanta is part of the Veda, therefore Vedanta also is a Pramanam. Then, Smriti is also Pramanam because Smriti is in harmony with Shruti. Therefore, that also we accept as Pramana. Then the analysis of Brahma Sutra is also accepted as Pramana because the subject matter is same. So for us, it's restricted to that. For a Tarkika, it's not restricted to that because he expands it to the world. Therefore, Aptavakyaha Pramanam it becomes. Huh? Which, what is that? Yeah, Smriti. He'll come under Smriti. Na? Bhagavad Gita comes under Smriti. So it's considered Pramanam. That's why the cornerstone of the pramana is Smriti, Shruti, which is the Veda, Smriti, which is the Gita, etc., and the Nyaya Grantha, which is Brahma Sutras. Logical analysis. That logical analysis becomes important because it's a question of knowledge, understanding. If understanding, you need logical analysis. Otherwise, it will become just belief. You are taking it in good faith. It is not knowledge. Yeah, I am Brahman, no, after all. Veda says I am Brahman, therefore I am Brahman. Do you understand it? Or are you just repeating like a parrot? Therefore, understanding is important. Therefore, Nyaya becomes important. Nyaya as the way Vedantins use it, the Brahma Sutra analysis. Therefore, that is the cornerstone of Shabda. Whereas for the Tarkika, it becomes Aptavakyam. And since the Rishis are Aptas, they are considered, Veda is also Pramana. It comes indirectly. Because who is an Apta? Yathartha Vaktaha. One who speaks the truth. One who speaks things as it is. The Rishis were Aptas. They spoke it as it is. Therefore, we will accept Veda also as a Pramana. What is the flaw in this? No? Yeah. Because he is a human being, human fallibility comes into the picture. However great he is, the human fallibility comes into the picture. No? Therefore, Aptavakyam is not enough for us to take it as a pramana. We accept Aptavakyam as far as functioning is concerned.
But Aptavakyam again from a Vedanta point of view will go back to
Ishvara. Ishvarena nishwasitam Veda. That's why Veda is a pramana. Yeah. See, it's something like this. She tells me this is the law. Aptavakya. She says it as it is. I accept it. Because I don't have to study the whole of law. That's why a lawyer is there. I understand. Okay, I accept. Fine. But interpretation, it's funny. A court will decide whether the mistake made by the doctor was intentional or otherwise. And the doctor is punished for it if he has made a wrong decision. Rightly so. Correct. But when a lower court makes a mistake and the higher court corrects it, who gets punished? Should not. If you are punishing a doctor because of the mistake he made, he went to court and proved it is a mistake. Difficult. Because you need evidences from other doctors. And they'll protect their own naturally. Because tomorrow I may be in the same boat. Someone who doesn't understand medicine is going to... Someone who doesn't understand medicine is relying on evidences given by 10 different people to judge whether I am right or wrong. That's why peer review is more important. No? And the other doctors should analyze my case and see whether I made an error or not. That's more correct. Rather than going to court. Because the court, the judge doesn't know. The lawyers don't know medicine. Huh? Exactly. Subject matter is different. All right, fair enough. This is the law of the land, he was punished. But then when a lower court makes a mistake, should that judge be punished or not punished? Exactly.
how do the Tarkas explain away the human error possibly?
Hetu abhasa, viruddha hetu. Now can you see all of it? That's why they studied the error part so much. Yeah. Aptavakya. Correct. That is when we look at it, no? Vedanta look at it. Yeah, because they're all aptas.
But yet, their fundamental premise of the seven Tarkas, etc.
See, many modern Vedantas also make the same mistake. In their intuitive meditations, the rishis saw the truth. The same mistake they are making. They are not taking into account human fallibility. The Shastra is very clear. If the Shastra is a pramana, the pramana itself should reveal it's a pramana. And the pramana does that. Ishwarena nishwasitam Vedaha. Ishvara revealed the Veda as effortlessly as breathing. It is said there. So the proof has to be from the pramana itself. An error made in perception has to be corrected by perception only. No? So the validity of perception is done by perception itself. Only then it becomes Svata Pramanam, an independent Pramana. Otherwise it won't become an independent Pramana. To have independent Pramana, it should be valid by itself. Therefore the Veda has to say, what is the source? And the Veda says the source. And we have not had any Eucharistic Congress to edit the Vedas. Yeah. A lot of things in the Bible was edited out. Constantinople, the first, this thing, 61 AD or something, 161 or something like that. Yeah, 100 years after the death of Christ, they edited out certain things. Rebirth, etc. was part of the Veda, part of the Bible, once upon a time.
The Catholic Bible and Protestant Bible were
Also different, exactly. We don't have, we have the definition, distinction as four Vedas purely on the base of the chant. Nothing else. We have not made any other differences. No, I have said that in the Guru Purnima program. No? There was a debate about that. Because Atharva Veda dealt with some worldly topics. Yeah. So, that is it. Yeah. Ava is part of the game. Yeah. Ava is all part of the game only, no? Yeah. 1 second. Let me see whether it is. No. Something has gone off here. Secure. It's come on. This requires some refreshing. Okay. Yeah. So, Shabda is a pramana only because of Apta Vakyam here. Okay. Yeah. And of course, Vakyam is Pada Samuha. A group of words with a verb in it. And a group of words, and the group of words, the Shakti depends upon the Padam. What is the meaning of a word? Therefore, a few things have to be clear here. Few things have to be clear. What is that? What is the meaning of the word? Now, according to them, it is Ishvara Srishti, that this word will mean this meaning. Because at that time, the only language was there was Sanskrit. There were some local dialects. Local dialects were there. Okay? Because that's how language evolves. There always will be some. Because remember, before we became a modern civilization, language was there. Language evolved with the evolution of the voice box. And that's where it took a step, evolution took a step favoring the human beings. Why? Because you could communicate ideas. You could communicate knowledge from one generation to another. Therefore, in that process, speech was invented, language was there, language developed. But language will develop according to the needs of the society, isn't it? So when we are hunters and gatherers, remember that time language evolved then. So basic, how much language you need? How much language do you need? Do you need poetry? I lived in the west and as a boy, and the roses nigh covered my nest. But the life of a sailor was all my joy. Do you need a poetry like that? My mother, she wept and bid me stay, anchored for life to her apron strings. You don't need poetry, no? Do you need poetry for functioning? That evolved much later when we had leisure. Or when in our wonderment we express some things of nature. But for that also you need a certain amount of leisure to wonder at nature. You are living as a cave person worried about the tiger hunting you. What leisure you are talking about? What wonder? Nature was dangerous. Nature could kill. Yeah. Night was full of fearful sounds. Yeah. Great discovery of fire. Now you are safer because fire is there. Big thing. Keep the fire burning at the mouth of the cave and stay in the cave. So language evolved like this. So dialects evolved. So you needed basic dialects. Sanskritam was considered Deva Bhasha. By the oldest literature in the world, the Veda was revealed in Sanskrit. Therefore, Sanskritam is Deva Bhasha. When Sanskritam interacted with the various dialects, you have various languages coming in India. They say some languages don't have scripts. Tulu, border between Kerala and Karnataka. There's a language called Tulu, doesn't have a script. It's a language, well-developed language, beautiful language. I'm not talking about Telugu, don't mistake it with Telugu. Tulu. Many of the Shettis and all speak Tulu. You also speak Tulu. But the script you use is Kannada script, right? Like they use Kannada script. People from Kerala who use Tulu will use a Malayalam script. So, beautiful language, nice language, very well developed. But doesn't have his own script. Yeah. Olden days they used to use this Devanagari script. Yeah. So language evolved like that in India. Therefore, in the evolution of language, we gave meaning to words, no? Not Deva, not the Ishvara. But because of Sanskrit, they said this is the Ishvara, Deva Bhasha, therefore the gods are given the meanings. Point hai. If you accept Sanskrit as Deva Bhasha, then you and I didn't set up the meaning, no? They set up the meaning. Khagaha, for example. What is Khagaha? Khe gacchati iti Khagaha. That which moves in the sky is Khagaha. A bird can be called a Khaga. The sun can be called a Khaga. Om Khagaya Namaha, it is there. An aeroplane can be called a Khaga. Why? It is evolving from the roots. There is a grammatical evolution from the roots. And there are only 4,000 roots in Sanskrit language. That's why the whole Dhatu Pata people will mug it up. Why? 4,000 roots are there and you can create millions of words. Then how will you differentiate between Khaga, bird, and Khaga, aeroplane? Dhumra Khagaha. Yeah. That which has got some smoke emitting, some emissions. The one that moves in the sky with emissions, Dhumra Khagaha. You can differentiate also. So, that is why they say, God, the Lord has fixed up the meanings, okay? Just because of this, nothing else. Then, okay, Padam Shaktam, Asmatma, Ayamartha, the Shakti. Therefore, the Shakti will be the direct meaning of the word. Okay? Direct meaning of the word. Then, once you say a word, then the whole thing of communication comes up. The whole question of communication. Because remember one thing, language was for communications. Yeah. Before language was there, I had only sign language, bash you up. Everyone understands. With the invention of language, even though sign language took a back seat, body language plays a great role in it. Body language plays a great role because these are the remnants of the sign language that was there. Body language is a remnant of the sign language that we used. The vestige, which is important in communication. Vedanta says, you are Ananda, I am Ananda. Therefore, you have to understand Vedanta and become Ananda. If you are going to say like this, nobody will think I am Ananda. Yeah. Why you look sad? Yeah. That's a very sad Ananda. But here, since he is talking of Shabdam, he doesn't go into body language. Why? Because he is not talking about communication. He is talking about Shabda as a pramana. Some 55% of your communication is body language. 45% only is words. And there also the meaning of the words only some 7 or 10%. Everything else is tone, inflection, etc. Typical. Husband and wife discussing something, both are disagreeing on it. Wife finally says, do what you want. No husband is going to take it seriously if he knows his wife even a little bit. Why? She said, do what you want, I'll do what I want. The child will do it even though the child understands, mommy doesn't want me to do it. He'll hide behind the excuse. Yeah. But no husband will do it. Why? He knows for the next 5 years he's going to hear it. Meaning okay, but what about all this? Inflection, this, that, etc. So a lot of communication depends upon all this. Yeah. You tell a friend, do what you want. Hey, that's fine. Huh? You do whatever you want, you do. Look at the difference. You do whatever you want, okay? I'm fine. Do what you want. Meaning there is no more common ground now. So you do what you want, I do what I want. Where did the meaning come out? Only by inflection and body language. No? So a lot of communication is based on that. You can't avoid it. You can't go only by the meaning. That's what makes Vedanta so difficult. Why? Because I only have that 7 to 10% to work on. The meaning, because printed word, the Shabda. The meaning of those words only I have to communicate, isn't it? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, I have to communicate only by the meaning of the words. What body language comes there? Do what you want, body language can come in. Inflection, etc. can. Satyam Jnanam Anantam, what can come in? But still it comes in. The Shakti of the teacher comes in the teaching. That is why teaching is always supposed to be live. The Zoom and thing is only if you cannot be in front of the teacher. It's a poor substitute. Because the audio-visual, some sort of thing is there. But you have had 3 breaks up to now, isn't it, in this class? That's disturbing. Yeah. Because I can pick up the threads from where I left off, it is okay. So all this thing comes into play. So how it comes into play, etc., we will see. And next class, we will complete this text. Okay? Yeah. Summary of the text. Good place to stop. Om Tat Sat. Yeah.